The grand hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with tension as delegates from 17 different species gathered for the annual summit. At the far end of the chamber, Princess Lyra stood alone, her violet eyes scanning the crowd that deliberately avoided her gaze. Half human and half Varian, she bore the distinctive silver markings of her mother's race along her temples. While her father's human features dominated the rest of her appearance, the whispers followed her everywhere she went. Abomination, some called her. Genetic mistake, others muttered. The Varians viewed her human blood as contamination, while many humans saw her alien features as a reminder of their species' recent integration into galactic society. She belonged to neither world fully, accepted by none. Ambassador Thomas Burke observed the scene from his position near the human delegation. A veteran diplomat in his 50s, he had seen enough politics to recognize isolation when he witnessed it. The young princess carried herself with dignity despite the obvious hostility surrounding her, and something about her situation stirred his protective instincts. The session began with standard proceedings, but tensions escalated when the topic of trade routes through Varian space arose. Chancellor Vex of the Varian Empire stood to address the assembly, his blue skin shimmering under the chamber's lights. The Empire questions why we should honor agreements made by the previous administration, Vex declared, his golden eyes briefly flicking toward Lyra, especially those influenced by compromised bloodlines. A collective gasp echoed through the hall. Lyra's face remained composed, but Tomas noticed her hands clench slightly at her sides. The insult was clear to everyone present. The princess has no authority to speak for Varia, continued another Varian delegate. Her mixed heritage makes her unfit to represent pure Varian interests. From the other side of the chamber, a human representative stood. Humanity also questions the legitimacy of half-breed royalty. We cannot support someone who is not fully committed to either species. Lyra remained silent as delegate after delegate either ignored her presence or openly questioned her right to exist. The weight of isolation pressed down on her shoulders. Like a heavy cloak, she had prepared for this moment her entire life, knowing that her mixed heritage would make her a target, but the reality felt more crushing than she had anticipated. Tomas watched the proceedings with growing anger. Politics was one thing, but the systematic dehumanization of a young woman who had done nothing wrong was another matter entirely. When the session broke for recess, he made his decision. He approached Lyra as she stood alone on the observation deck, gazing out at the stars through the massive viewport. The cosmic vista seemed to dwarf the petty politics playing out inside the station. "Your Highness," Tomas said quietly, offering a respectful nod. Lyra turned, surprise flickering across her features. "Ambassador Burke, I did not expect anyone to approach me." "That's precisely why I'm here," he replied, moving to stand beside her at the viewport. "What happened in there was wrong." "It was politics," she said with a bitter smile. "I am accustomed to it. No one should have to become accustomed to that level of disrespect." Tomas studied her profile as she gazed at the stars. "You know, humanity has a saying, the measure of a civilization is how it treats its most vulnerable members. I am hardly vulnerable," Lyra replied. "I am a princess. Title means nothing if you have no one willing to stand beside you." Thomas turned to face her fully. "But you do have someone now. Humanity will support your claim to represent Varian interests in the trade negotiations." Lyra's eyes widened. "You cannot be serious. Your own delegation questioned my legitimacy just hours ago." "My delegation consists of politicians playing to audiences back home," Thomas said firmly. "But I speak for the humans who believe in justice and fairness. We will not abandon someone simply because others find it convenient to do so." Word of the human ambassador's declaration spread quickly through the station. By the time the evening session convened, the dynamic had shifted dramatically. Tomas took the floor and delivered a passionate speech about the strength found in diversity and the importance of judging individuals by their actions rather than their bloodlines. Princess Lyra represents the best of both species, he declared to the assembly. She carries the wisdom of variant culture and the innovation of human spirit. To reject her is to reject the very future we are building together. His words resonated with several moderate delegates who had remained silent during the earlier proceedings. One by one, representatives from smaller species began voicing their support for Lyra's position. The tide was turning. Chancellor Vex attempted to maintain his opposition, but found himself increasingly isolated as more voices joined the chorus supporting the princess. Even some members of his own delegation began to waver, recognizing the political winds had shifted. When the final vote was called, Lyra was officially recognized as Varia's legitimate representative in the trade negotiations. The margin was narrow, but the victory was complete. Later, as delegates filed out of the chamber, Lyra approached Tomas with tears in her violet eyes. "Why?" she asked simply. "Why did you help me when no one else would?" Tomas smiled warmly. "Because that's what humans do. We reach out to those who need help, regardless of who they are or where they come from. It's not always our strong suit in politics, but it's who we are at our core." Lyra nodded, understanding dawning in her expression. "Perhaps my human heritage is not the weakness others believe it to be." "It never was," Tomas replied. "It's your greatest strength." As the station's artificial day cycle dimmed to simulate evening, Princess Lyra stood taller than she had in years. For the first time in her life, she was not alone. Someone had reached out across the void of prejudice and isolation to offer help, and in doing so, had reminded the galaxy what it truly meant to be human.